Gomirac, and welcome to our today's learning clinic. Thank you for waiting, and we do apologize one more time for technical issues, but it's happening in our online world. So today we will talk a little bit about Movement Charter. We will see what is it actually, how it can help us, how it can affect Wikimedia communities, and we will learn some basic things, but in the second part of the session, we will also learn about some things that can be really important for us. Now I will share my screen so we can do the introduction part. So, as I said, and I will say one more time, welcome to today's Let's Connect Learning Clinic. It is the name of this learning clinic is Explaining and Discover. And thank you very much for coming one more time. Today we have some amazing MCDC members, and in this slide, I'm asking them to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about themselves. Thank you. Maybe we can start with Meghtad.
Hi, everyone. I'm actually part of the support team for the MCDC, but it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Of course, this was recommended from community members because Let's Clinic and Let's Connect is so much appreciated. So thank you for giving the time to the Movement Charter work. I'm passing it on to Risker. I believe I saw you in the group.
Hi there, I'm Anne, or Risker, and I'm a member of the committee. And since I just jumped in now, I'm not sure who to pass on to, but probably Seal.
If all else fails, just turn to Seal. No, kidding. I'm Seal. On the Movement Charter Drafting Committee. I'm an admin on the Dutch Wikipedia and on Wikimedia Commons, and I do stuff on Meta as well and do a lot of things. Passing it on to Manav.
Hi, I'm Manav. I'm based in India. I'm again a member of, I'm an affiliate, I'm a South Asia representative on the Movement Charter Drafting Committee, and also a member of the Roles and Responsibility in Global Council Drafting Group.
Also, as part of the support team, we have Carl here today who will guide us through the presentation. Carl.
Yeah, hello, greetings from my side. So as Meghtad said, supporting stuff for the actual committee members, and I'm passing it on to Michał. Are you available?
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Michał. I'm this ducky guy in the shirt in the first row on this photo. So I live in Poland. I'm an economist, a financial professional, and former president, vice president of Wikimedia Poland. In the past, I've been doing the strategy, the funds dissemination for the Wikimedia Foundation, and the strategy, the role, the resource allocation working group. And currently I'm on the MCDC, representing the voters and the Central Eastern Europe community, basically. And the board members, yes, the board members, volunteers are important. Thank you very much. How about Richard?
Hi, I'm Richard, user Pharos. I'm in the photo wearing the red WikiConference North America t-shirt. So I'm from the United States in New York City. Glad to be part of this charter and part of the global conversations around the movement. I'm active on English Wikipedia, Commons, Wikidata, the Meta, you may know, if you know, I started some of the early Wiki Loves things, some other projects you might be familiar with. Thanks. Good to talk to everyone today. And maybe Georges.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous, je suis Georges, je représente l'Afrique subsaharienne, membre du MCDC. Je suis membre des sous-comités, sous-commissions Hub, Conseil mondial et valeurs et principes. Merci.
Well, thank you very much, all of you, for the introduction. I'm really looking forward, as I think we all are, to today's discussion. And I think we will learn a lot today. Thank you very much one more time. This discussion is organized within Let's Connect program that is founded by Wikimedia Foundation, but is led and operated by the whole community. This is really open and safe space to learn, to talk, to discuss, to share our mistakes, our learnings, and all of the things that maybe we want to share with other people, with our community, but we are not sure how. So just keep in mind that this is a really safe space for all of us to share our thoughts, and we need to respect each other, but also to have a really good time here. So why are we here today, and why is this discussion, this learning clinic, organized? So we have some learning outcomes, as you can see, and today learning outcome is to understand the significance of the Movement Charter and why is it important to contribute. So either if you are someone who just joined the movement or someone who is here for God knows how many years, but we are all here to learn why is it important to contribute. Also to better understand of what is being drafted and how we can contribute. So today we will discuss about all of that. Also, we have some agenda for today. We are a bit past the time, but we will figure it out throughout the session how we can fix that, so no worries. So right now we are in the welcome and introduction part of the session. After this, we'll have a short icebreaker just to move a little bit and talk a little bit to feel more comfortable to share. After that, we will have presentation with the basic things about this charter. We'll have a quick Kahoot game. So pay attention in the presentation part because the things from Kahoot game will be in the presentation. After that, we will have the juicy part of the charter. And after that, we will do a Q&A part where you can feel free to ask any questions you are interested about, maybe the things that you are confused about as well. So in this part, we will just try to make it all as clear as possible. After that, we will be divided into breakout rooms in like a smaller groups where we can feel free to discuss. It will be just a little bit more natural when there is like or there are like many smaller groups to feel connected or more free to share our thoughts. After that, we'll have like a quick practical exercise and we will have a small closure. You can see someone from Let's Connect group will send a link to Icebreaker that will add to Jamboard. It is very interesting. And also, please use Jamboard or chat to ask any questions you have throughout the session. So you can feel free to ask any questions in the chat or just type them in the Jamboard, and then we will talk about them in the Q&A part and in the closure part. Also, share your thoughts, share your reflections, share the things you may be confused about, or you would just like to get more people to know about them as well in the Jamboard or in the chat. At the end of the session, we'll send you also a link to Mentimeter where you can give us your feedback and you can help us to improve and be better by each learning clinic. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank all MCDC members for introduction. Now we will start the presentation. Please make sure that if you need translators, you can use a translator option by clicking into like a globe icon on the Zoom. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very much, Lorena, for that introduction. And now we'll go into the icebreaker for today. And the link to the icebreaker has been shared on the chat. So today's icebreaker is very simple, and it's just all about you trying to compare the movement charter to any of the theme or movie types that you can see on your screen. So if you think the movement charter is a mystery, then you can do that by picking any of the sticker and then just drop it under any of these theme or movie types that resonate with you. So we can do this in 3 minutes, and I see some already using the stickers. So it's very simple. It's just all about you trying to compare the movement charter to any of the movie types by picking the sticky notes and then dropping it under any of the movies. So if you think it's a mystery, then you can use the sticker and then just put it directly under the mystery. And if you think it's a comedy, fine, you can also do that by dragging the sticky note under the comedy movie type. So we'll be doing this for 3 minutes, and the time has already started. So let's see. And if you would also like to drop your comments in the chat or on how you see the movement charter as a theme or movie type, that would also be good. And yeah, you can drop your comments. Okay, I see few people using these stickers on the Jamboard. And also, if you think none of these movie types resonate with your definition of movement charter, then you can also add an image of your movie type on this Jamboard. Okay, someone says it's picking comedy because it has a happy ending. Wow, I love that. So let's see more options. Okay. So you to move the sticky so you have to move the stickers and then place them directly under any of the movie types that you think best fit your definition of the movement charter.
I'm seeing Bacol also a lot of people thinking it's like Inception, a complex one, a dream within a dream within a dream.
Yeah.
That's a good challenge for the MCDC.
Okay, I see no one is thinking it's a scary movie or a thriller. And we have two people who have identified the movement charter as a mystery. Okay. Okay, is a system. This is because I see someone says, to be fair, all of Wikimedia is a mystery. And that's very funny. Okay, so waiting for more stickers to be placed under any of these options.
There's some nice comments coming in on the chat as well. Movement charter is a system. This is because at the end we shall actualize our goal.
Then I love the comment that says we are all just trying to understand. And I think this is a perfect time to really get clarity around some of the things about movement charter that looks like a mystery and also an inception. Okay, so okay, so for those that are just joining, we are in the icebreaker section, and we're trying to compare the movement charter with a film or movie type of our choice. And if you look on the screen, we have mystery, scary movie, comedy, adventure, and inception. And if any of these options resonates with your definition of movement charter, you have submitted of the sticker that says this one, and then place it directly under any of these movie types. And somebody said action scene. Wow. Okay.
So Bukola, we're coming up to time. I think it's good to conclude that it's a bit of everything, but not so much a thriller film, which is great. We have complexity, adventure, happy ending, and a bit of mystery. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yes, thank you all for participating in this icebreaker, and it's interesting to know that we all have different ways that we have seen the movement charter. And I hope in the first part of this presentation we get more clarity and better think of the movement charter as other movie types that we have not thought about previously. So now I'll pass the virtual mic to the MCDC sharer to commence the first presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bukola, for this creative exercise. I think it definitely got the thinking of people going. As I introduced myself earlier, my name is Karel. I'm the supporting staff member for the Movement Charter Drafting Committee, working with Wikimedia Foundation. My pronouns are he, him. And one of the suggestions on the Jamboard regarding like what type of movie it is was the inception. So I would like to talk about how the charter has become to be, so provide a bit of context around the concept of a charter and its history and background. And then later on the call, an actual Movement Charter Drafting Committee member will take us to a dive into the content of the charter, so coming soon. But to get us going regarding the context, this is the committee. So you have heard some of them already on this call speaking up who are here, but these are the pictures of the action that has taken place for some time now. The committee itself came together already some time ago, and there had been drafts that have been published, and these are the takeaways from the different events, gatherings, writing sessions that we have held. The committee itself consists of 12 people at this point of time, some of them elected by the community, some of them selected by the affiliates. 2 people appointed by the Wikimedia Foundation to be a really representative body of the diversity of our movement, and they have been called together to draft the movement charter. So let's move on to the next slide. What is a charter? The really high-level definition of a charter, and the common definition is that it's a document that sets out rights, authority, and privileges. And even though we have existed for more than 20 years as a movement, the Wikimedia movement doesn't have a charter. And also, usually charter has a section regarding the values or principles of the organization or the movement, or depending on what charter it is. The idea also in the Wikimedia charter is to present those. And there is a value in kind of stating these values and principles, as they are a guiding light in complexity. People said that movement charter drafting is a complex thing. I think also a global movement is a complex one. So looking at the history, we haven't had the clear statement of these values and principles. We have organizational ones for Wikimedia Foundation. We have had guiding pillars for the projects, etc. But we do not have not had the common grounding for the whole movement. So also in this complex ecosystem, the charter is trying to provide them, and in the end, it also tries to outline clearly the future governance structure, a clear one for the whole global movement. So these are kind of the things that charter is trying to achieve. And as stated here, the movement charter is something that was proposed by the movement strategy recommendations drafted from 2018 to 2020. Based on these recommendations, actually in 2021, we made progress to pull together a drafting committee and actually starting drafting a movement charter for a Wikimedia movement. Next slide, please. So what is a value proposition? Why do we need a charter? I briefly touched upon this already when trying to explain what the charter is. But essentially, we have very ambitious goals, starting from a vision of every single human being able to contribute to the sum of all human knowledge, to kind of lower level strategic direction, which states that by 2030, Wikimedia will become the essential infrastructure of the ecosystem of free knowledge. With an addition that anyone who shares our vision will be able to join us. And the question is, how do we actually achieve that? And the hope is that the movement charter can bring some clarity into this part. It will be a guiding roadmap, helping us to move towards a strategic direction, also the vision, and implement the movement strategy recommendations. The hope also is that having a movement charter will really help us to come together as a movement, to come together as one, and as a result, have a strengthened, multiplied impact that we are trying to have in the world in creating a space for free knowledge, access to knowledge, etc. So this is kind of a rationale behind the charter. Why are we making a significant effort to write one for the movement? Next slide, please. In addition to that, there are some practical aspects that are significant for our movement, which are especially related to the clarity of roles and responsibilities, especially the roles and responsibilities of different stakeholders, volunteers, communities, organizations within the movement, including the affiliates and the Wikimedia Foundation. There are also ideas, I already mentioned the movement strategy recommendations. There are ideas related to new structures to be set up in the movement, and we also need clarity regarding their role and responsibility, for example, global council and hubs. So the hope is that we can thrive as a movement when each and every one of us has a really good understanding of the different roles and responsibilities we have, and they are really clearly outlined in a uniting document. So we have less disputes regarding what right or responsibility each of the actors have, and we have more energy and effort put into the actual action achieving the impact. The charter itself will be the central document for defining these things and also the future structures of a movement. And also, as I already mentioned previously, if you look at the global movements, if you look at the Wikimedia movement, it's rather complex. And the hope is also that the movement charter will help us as members of a movement to navigate this complexity, but also the ones I mentioned in the strategic direction who are sharing our vision and want to join us, they will have easier time navigating the complex landscape. So these are kind of the value propositions of a movement charter. Why are we writing one? Next slide, please. The idea of a charter itself, or some of the ideas that will be represented in the charter, are not essentially new. So already in 2005, there have been discussions about a wiki council to be established to bring together the different perspectives across the global Wikimedia movement and represent them in decision-making and discussions. Some of these topics were brought up in the Movement Roles project, if you remember, from 2010, 2011, defining the various roles in the movement. Also, a charter draft, the very basic one, was created as part of that project. It's still available on Meta. There are discussions on affiliate level. There was an effort to create a Wikimedia Chapters Association, and also there was a project called Chapters Dialogue, 2012 and 2013-14 respectively. And in the end, also there was a strategic direction created, which guides the movement strategy work at this point of time. So if you look at the timeline, it almost spans over the full history of Wikimedia movement having these conversations, and it's a significant moment in time that we finally are on the verge of implementing something that we have been discussing for a very, very long time in the movement. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, the Wikimedia Movement Charter is based on a recommendation, recommendation number 4. So the title of recommendation is Ensure Equity in the Decision Making. So this is what we are trying to achieve. Movement Charter is one of the things to be implemented. Some things that will be included in the charter and which we will discuss later are also part of that recommendation. So Global Council and the hubs are concepts laid out in that recommendation. And overall, what the recommendation says is that we will try to get to a place where our movement will make decisions that are contextualized, because solutions to common challenges can differ from one part to another. So there is a part of contextualization. We aim for shared responsibilities and inclusion. So agents in different parts of a movement and inclusion of the diversity that we have across the communities and organizations. And in the end, it has been stated that to make this all work, we need a charter that will bring this all together, provide a sense of belonging, and also define clearly roles and responsibilities, both for current and future members of a movement. Let's move on. Next slide, please. And as this is a really movement-wide effort, we really would like to see a wide participation across the movement. So why should you participate? On one hand, it's important for all the individuals and communities to take part in the changing Wikimedia landscape, to be up to date, and at the same time, bring your unique perspective, the contextualization aspect I mentioned, to ensure that this is well represented in these global discussions when we are shaping the future of the landscape and the structures. And the idea is that you bring your perspective so we can write a better charter that is working for you. And as a result, we really would like to see you being in communication with Movement Charter Drafting Committee, helping us providing feedback, and also letting us know what in the drafts works for you, what you think should be maybe drafted differently, what are proposed changes and ideas in there, so we can actually remove the barriers for your involvement in the movement governance and in the movement structures, as we try to ensure equity in the decision making, and also that your perspective is represented on the global level of the movement. And finally, next slide, please. How can you participate? How can you deliver your perspective? Is you can go to the MetaTalk pages. We have the content published, so you can really provide detailed feedback regarding any aspect of the content that has been published, but also you can participate in different ways. For example, we are planning to host open hour sessions where we can discuss the charter. Of course, we are taking part in the regional conferences, etc. But this is something that is virtual and anyone can join. And the first iteration of an open hour, open discussion will be next Thursday, October the 5th, 2023. So there are pathways, direct pathways, clear pathways, how you can bring your contributions, with call being one of them. That was it for a very high level context. If you have any detailed questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But at this point of time, I'm happy to wrap my presentation and hand it back to Jessica for a bit more fun part, hopefully. I'm complete.
Fantastic, Carol. So I hope you were all listening really closely to Carol's presentation, because now we're going to have a short quiz. So I'm going to ask you to go to this link. If you have any problems accessing the link from your phone or your computer, then you can participate on the chat. You can also reply on the chat. The only problem is we won't be able to add you to the podium. We won't be able to collect your points. So start by registering. You can add your real name. You can add a fake name, a funny name, whatever you like. Another way of entering is to go to that link and putting in the code, but it's easier with the link directly. The quiz is going to be in English, but I am going to read out each question very slowly so the interpreters can interpret in French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Arabic. And hopefully you'll be able to participate in different languages. So we're going to test your movement charter listening skills. All right, we have 16 people. I'll give it one more minute for people to register. We've got Anton, Catania, Derrida, Mohammed. MCDC members are not allowed to participate, obviously, although you can if you think you need to be tested too. All right, we'll wait one more minute. Get those fingers ready, get them ready. I'll put the link in one more time. 30 more seconds to register. And if you missed the chance to register, you can participate in the chat. Let's get this started. All right, it's as much about speed as anything else. The MCDC is a group of people elected by the Wikimedia Foundation to draft the charter, a cool rock band a small global council until a larger one is formed, a diverse members from projects, affiliates, and the WMF, the foundation, drafting the charter. Time is up. We had 14 people get the right answer. So you'll see in green, the right answer is diverse members. And we have Nada as number one on our podium. Let's see if SmartCat and Anton can catch up. Next question. The movement charter is made for affiliates in the movement, for any volunteer in the movement, for all individuals, groups, and organizations involved in the movement, and establishing the role of the Wikimedia Foundation. Two, one. Time's up. And we have a majority. You are very good listeners. We have, it's for all individuals, groups involved in the movement. And we see Nada is still there on leading the podium, but Damien is very close behind her. Let's go, Damien, you can do it. Next question. The Wikimedia Foundation requested the movement charter. Is this true or is it false? Five, four, three, two, one. Time's up. It is false. It was the movement strategy that requested the movement charter, not the Wikimedia Foundation. Let's see. Come on, somebody has to take Nada from the podium. Anton is there, SmartCat, Damien, Derrida. Okay, let's see if you can. Nada's very, very good at this. Next question. When is the movement charter ratification vote expected to take place? So when people are going to vote to ratify the movement charter, you have to write in the year that you think it will happen. Let's see. Oh, sorry, that was very quick. The right answer, 4 of you got it right, is 2000. It's next year, 2024. And Nada is still up there, but we have A. A has finally appeared on the podium. Who is the mysterious A? Next question. What chapters will the charter include besides the preamble and the glossary? Will it be values, principles, roles and responsibilities, hubs and global council and hubs, fund distribution and grants, or principles, affiliates, roles and responsibilities, fundraising and global council? It's a lot of chapters. Which were the right chapters? Oh, this one was a trick question. It was more points. Not trick, but difficult one. 11 of you got it right. And let's see. Oh, Anton is close behind Nada. We still have A, Derrida, and Damien. I think we're close to the finalists now. 2 more questions to go. The current draft of the movement charter is 90% ready. Only small changes by the MCDC are needed. Still open for feedback by all stakeholders. Open for feedback only on Meta by online contributors, or it's now under the foundation review for approval. Oh, and several of you got it right. It's true, it's still open for feedback by all stakeholders. And you are going to be those stakeholders after this call. Okay, we have Nada here leading at the top. And I think this is the final question. If I'm new to the movement, should I not give feedback on how the Global Council should be elected? So if I'm new, is it true that I should not give feedback on this? Or is this false? On how the Global Council should be elected. And it is correct, it is false. Anybody, even if you're new, yesterday you arrived, you can give feedback. All right, so we have at the top of the podium, Nada, followed by Damien. And our next question it is not a points question. This is just to get your view. In one word, what does the movement charter mean to you? Please write in any language that you want. We're seeing here it means order, growth, principles, inclusivity, clarity, inclusion, responsibility. I love seeing principles there, so big. Constitution. And that is the final image of what the movement charter means to everybody on this call. And, oh, hold on. Oh, sorry, we're meant to see the podium now, but somehow we're not seeing the podium. And we have third place, Derrida. Second place, Damien. And first goes to Nada. A round of applause, a virtual round of applause to Nada. She was top the whole time. And thank you for playing the game. I think it shows that people were listening, but there's still things that perhaps we learned through the game. And here are all the scores. This is fantastic. All right, over back to you.
I think it's time to call up Risker or Anne to talk about the actual content of the charter. Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be. So let's talk about what we're doing with this charter and the content that we're looking at. With the Global Council draft, we have a lot of information that's coming through. And this is obviously our biggest challenge, is finding a Global Council concept that works for all of the different aspects of our movement. It's intended to be a governance body responsible for development and implementation of movement strategy. It's also intended to improve accountability and transparency for movement-wide decision-making. Those would be big decisions as opposed to small decisions. It simplifies access to movement resources and empowers individuals and communities in hopes of nurturing trust between stakeholders. Next slide, please. So its purpose is pretty small compared to some of the concepts that have been presented by others. The Global Council would be advising the Wikimedia Foundation on fundraising efforts, establishing standards and guidelines for equitable dissemination of funds or distribution of funds, ensuring inclusive and transparent decision-making processes, creating or modifying committees, and those would include committees like the affiliations committee, the language committees, similar groups like that, and creating new ones, for example, possibly a hubs committee, as we create this new form of support. And it's to create channels to simplify access to resources. That's going to be a big challenge because some access to resources has often been a concern, and to ensure accountability. Next slide. We're looking at the possibility of two different kinds of structures for the Global Council. The first would be the Global Council as an executive body only. So somewhere between 9 and 17 members as the entire Global Council. The other structure that we are considering is a Global Council with an executive body and a larger advisory board. And from there, we diverge again. You know, we could have a separate election for both the executive body and the advisory board, or we could just simply have an election for an advisory board, and the Global Council is selected from within that group. And then again, you know, we look at more complexity in looking at how we should be doing this. The next scenario, the next page, please. We're going to look at the hubs draft. Hubs are structures for mutual support. For the hub members and others within the movement to learn, to share knowledge, develop best practices, provide guidance, assistance to other members of the hub and to the communities. The idea is to empower existing and future Wikimedia communities to have the capacity and resources to make and implement their own decisions to meet their differing needs. So, for example, we could have a regional hub. Yes, you could go to the next slide. Thank you. A regional hub, which would be based on a geographic idea. Europe, Western Europe, Africa, Eastern Africa. We could be doing different groups like that, or thematic or topical. That would include linguistically based hubs. For example, Spanish, which is a language spoken in a large number of countries in a very geographically diverse locations. So we want to look at that as our focuses, the two focuses, regional or thematic. We think that a hub should require a minimum of 2 Wikimedia affiliates as founding members to become a hub. These affiliates have to have met all standards and requirements for an affiliate of its type over the previous 2 years. That gives us some accountability areas. You know, these are people or organizations with proven track records that we know have been able to support at least a smaller community. And Wikimedia affiliates can be members of more than one hub. For example, we talked about having a linguistic hub, and then they could also be part of a regional hub. And they may actually choose to participate in a thematic hub, such as the Wiki Loves hub or something like that. Next slide, please. We want to ensure that hubs have responsibilities that transcend those that are existing in other organizations. So we're talking about a support cluster, which would be service provision, capacity development, knowledge sharing, resourcing, and a coordination cluster, thematic and regional coordination around networking and communications. So for example, a coordination cluster might be something like a group that organizes International Women's Day programs or programs similar to that. Hubs should present analysis that a hub would actually provide added value to the movement. We do not want to be creating entities that are just there for interest's sake. We want them to have an actual purpose that they can be measured against. To collaborate with other Wikimedia organizations, including other hubs, groups, individuals that seek their advice or ask for support. These structures have to work towards standards of diversity, inclusion, accountability, and equity in decision-making. So, for example, diversity in terms of a linguistic hub means people from various countries or regions where that language is spoken. They do not mean diversity as in you have 3 French speakers and 2 Spanish speakers on the French group. That's an example there. And the same thing with inclusion. And hubs can organize themselves to do additional event coordination. For example, CEE meetings or large group meetings, things like that. And they're allowed to fundraise in coordination with the WMF and affiliate fundraising programs. So one of the comments that we have had over the years is that there are many small groups who are not in a position to fundraise, but have the potential to fundraise, but simply do not have the staffing or the ability to do it right now. So that is an option. With the roles and responsibilities, this is also very interesting. Entities and stakeholders within the movement distribute and decentralize roles and responsibilities as equitably as possible. This is what we call the subsidiarity principle. Responsibilities and authority are delegated to the lowest possible level. Next. Next slide, please. So we've also talked about the ratification methodology. We've put that forward for review and comment. The charter needs to be ratified by 4 different voting groups. Individual contributors to the Wikimedia projects, the projects themselves. So we would aggregate all of the votes from people who have linked themselves to a specific project and see how the projects come out. Affiliates and the Wikimedia Foundation Board of Trustees. So all 4 of these groups must be satisfied with what we have proposed. Values and principles and preamble are chapters that we have sent out for comment a very, very long time ago, and they were largely quite supportive. We want to talk about, making sure that we have outlined our fundamental values and principles. And those would be free and open knowledge, independence, inclusivity, subsidiarity, equity, accountability, resilience. So those are the things that we're looking at with those. Next slide. We want to keep talking with you. MCDC members will be at many regional and thematic events over the course of the next several months. From September to November. We're available to come and talk to individual groups, depending on timing. We will be providing you with reports on what we have heard publicly. One of our challenges is that we have been informed by some people that they really do not want to publicly share their information, their thoughts on places like Meta. So we are trying to figure out the best ways to make that, to open the loop of communication with those individuals. We understand that there are people who find Meta to be a very challenging place to participate. We will keep asking you to participate. We will be having our community sessions. The first one is next week. We're very looking forward to that. And don't hesitate to make use of the email as well. So we're really excited to have you participate. We really need to hear from community members we haven't heard from before. Community members, affiliates, similar. We're looking forward to it. And I am complete.
Thank you very much for these slides. I think it was very important for all of us to hear what are like the particulars, roles and responsibilities. And I think it's much more clear for all the participants about Movement Charter. And I hope that many of us and many of the participants will give MCDC a feedback. And I hope there were a lot of questions during these slides, because now we have that part of this learning clinic Q&A part. So please share your thoughts, share your questions in the chat or in the Jamboard so we can discuss. So we already have some of the questions. And I will share my screen so you can take a look at the Jamboard now. Just a second. Okay, so we had some questions during these slides. One of them is how smaller affiliates can contribute. So does any of the MCDC members want to answer to this? Just open your mic. Feel free to open your mic and give us the answer.
I'm happy to respond to that. How can smaller affiliates contribute? This is really one of our core questions. We want to make sure that smaller affiliates, who are in part the target of ensuring the equity in the movement, are able to contribute, whether they have a small group meeting or maybe want to join with other groups and we can send somebody to speak. We are happy to do that. We will also work with other groups to pull things together. You might just want to sit down and have a session amongst yourselves and send us an email saying this is what we think about this part and this is where we have concerns, and we can have a different kind of conversation. So we're very happy to seek out participation from smaller affiliates. I'm complete, and one of my colleagues will take the next question.
Thank you very much. Does anyone want to add something? If not, we can go to next. Oh, sorry, Nanor, please open your mic and share your thoughts with us. Thank you.
Yes, this question actually I raised it as a session at last Wikimedia Summit in Berlin. What the small and underrepresented affiliates, where are their position about all this global charter? And after yes, 1 year now, I can kind of that every affiliate they need to, small or big, but we are talking about the small ones or underrepresented. They need by themselves to go and ask where are their position and to connect with the other affiliates to make kind of studying or looking what they are need from this charter to raise it, to put it on the charter. So don't wait to the other or the bigger affiliates to come to the small one and say, yes, here is the charter. No, you are an affiliate, you are a small one, but you are an affiliate. So please, this is the way that you can be a part of this by participating and but being on the meetup pages, on this on these calls, and every place that there is a feedback. Even it's more the affiliates, it means I suppose more than 10 members. So yes, half of them, if it's of 3 of them involved in this charter, I think that you will get a good position. Thank you.
This was really amazing advice. So even though maybe affiliate seems too small, it's very important to raise your needs. And now we know the way to get to MCDC members by using the email or the meta page that Risker and talked about previously. George, you raised your hand. Can you please raise your voice as well?
Bonsoir à tous et à toutes. Je voulais, concernant les petits affiliés, je voulais rappeler déjà qu'il y a eu de cela quelques mois, l'équipe qui accompagne le MCDC avait coordonné des actions auprès de plusieurs pays qui tenaient à pouvoir obtenir un soutien. Le soutien était de plusieurs ordres. C'était sur le plan financier, parce qu'il fallait réunir des personnes et véritablement travailler avec ces personnes-là, et aussi véritablement à réfléchir donc sur des propositions qui pourraient aider le MCDC. Ça a été fait déjà. Et je pense que, vu que la question se repose, cela peut être encore reprogrammé. Ça, c'est un peu l'équipe qui a travaillé avec Karel et peut-être aujourd'hui avec Merdad et autres. L'idée étant véritablement de pouvoir coordonner les réunions en ligne et l'explication du travail qui a été fait et la collecte des retours qui viendraient dans des différentes communautés. Ça a déjà été fait par le passé, mais je me dis, compte tenu de la nécessité pour nous, MCDC, d'avoir les retours à tous les niveaux, il est vraiment important qu'on puisse replanifier ces rencontres des petits groupes ou des petits affiliés pour qu'on puisse avoir les retours. Merci.
Thank you very much for raising your voice as well. It's a very good idea to organize like a meeting with smaller affiliates as well, and I think MCDC members will have that in mind. Do you have something? Does any of MCDC members wants to reply to this, or we can go to next question? Okay. Okay, so one of the questions was how about national communities that are not organized into an affiliate? So we talked about smaller affiliates, but what about national communities that are not organized into affiliate? Who wants to answer this one?
I'll jump in on this as well. Individuals are allowed to participate in this, even if they're not part of an organized group, or if they're part of an organized sort of what we would call an informal group, such as, for example, Wiki Project, roads or something like that on a various project. National organizations, there are many countries that do not have an organized affiliate system, and that's fine. We have no issues with that. But feel free to participate as individuals or as a small group, talk about amongst yourselves and say, and then somebody sends us an email or posts on Meta saying, we looked at it from the perspective of XYZ group or people from this country, and this is what we would suggest be modified, or this is what we really like, or we're really kind of concerned about that thing. Feel free to participate at any level. Individual, you do not have to be part of an affiliate to participate in this process. Individuals are absolutely as important. One of our colleagues here was talking about conversations at Wikimania, and many of us on the committee who were there made a point of reaching out to smaller communities, talking to individuals to find out how they felt about the charter, what they knew about the charter, what we needed to emphasize. So we are really happy to hear from any group, formal or informal, and from individuals at any level. I'm complete.
Thank you very much. So it's very important for all of us to remember that even though maybe we are not part of some affiliate, chapter or user group or any other maybe project, it's important to raise our voice if we have a feedback or if we have any needs that charter can help us with. Okay, so the next question is a little bit different than the questions we had about smaller affiliates and organizations that are not organized into affiliates, and that is how new editors from economically low-ranking communities would get supported with data and stuff like that. So this is a very interesting question about some particular help that new editors from economically low-ranking communities would get supported with data. So who would like to answer this question? Maybe if you would like.
So probably this is not so much of a content-related question. Seal has already pinged me in the chat. Also, I don't think it's so much related, concretely to the content of a a charter drafting overall. It's a lower level. At the same time, I do think that there are some kind of equitable resourcing questions that we need to surface into the charter, so we can kind of maybe work on this particular question and see what are the high level implications that are relevant to the charter. So that's one thing that we could do. And regarding the practical part of it, I think it's rather a tactical question. I think it is more related to practical realities of grant making and support structures, and it is distributed currently with Wikimedia Foundation, but also we see some of the micro granting and support by the affiliates. There are hub pilots who are looking into this kind of type of on-ground support, and that has been actually highlighted regarding the hubs, that this kind of capacity building, but also technical support is something that people would like to see in the hubs as they get piloted or as they get put together. So basically, on the charter level, it's probably related to the funding and support structures, and then practically, I think it depends on the region and context. And currently, it's either you need to reach out to the Wikimedia Foundation, or there are affiliates in your region that provide this type of support, or there are hubs forming that might be providing that. So that's maybe a long-winded, complex answer in relation to a charter, but that's what I go with. I'm complete.
Thank you very much, Carol. We have a time for this one question, and that is how easy is it for individual contributors from smaller affiliates and communities to get to participate and collaborate within the hub activities when they aren't well known. Okay, so this is for hub activities that aren't well known, how to get to know them a bit better. Does anyone wants to jump in for this answer? And then we will go to breakout rooms. Carol, and anyone else?
I think that probably the best answer to this question would be that communication is going to be very important as we are moving through this process. We will not be able to guarantee that there will be a hub that will do what you want. That's going to be dependent on who wants to build a hub. But making hub activities well known is going to be partly the responsibility of the hubs themselves. It's not something that we would normally address in the charter, which is intended to be a much higher level document, but probably for whoever is recognizing hubs and ensuring that they are being productive for our community would probably include parameters on communication and outreach and how they can demonstrate that they are reaching out and ensuring participation from a broad group of communities and individuals. I don't think this would be part of the charter. I think this would be part of the structure that is based, that comes from the charter. I'm complete.
Thank you very much. We have one raised hand, Ciel.
Thank you, Garona. I think you were working towards a closure, so I actually do want to drop in and maybe address several of these questions with one answer, because I think a lot of these questions come down to that subsidiarity and also a more equitable movement. So we're more on the same level. And I think actually the movement charter will not be able to give you those answers. It would become a document of 50 pages if we want to include all these answers. But that representation and the work after ratification will be done by the Global Council. So getting the voice of your smaller community into that Global Council, that will actually make the difference, because they will decide on funds. They will, they will decide on a hubs committee or an affiliate committee, or they will be the highest level that takes the decisions, and they can really make things better. If you think that you don't have a reach now, that's where the Global Council comes in. The Global Council can improve that. And that's also a reason why you should get on board of the movement charter drafting process right now, because, once we've ratified this movement charter, we will be we'll need elections, whether we choose that a very big advisory board or just a smaller executive body. We need people that are on that council, and you want to be informed and you want to be able to address all those issues, so you get votes. So that's actually one of the reasons that we think it is time to now on board, because they will make, they can make the big decisions in the future. I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ciel, for summing everything up and for giving us some more info and details about the importance of voting also, and having like knowing our place in the moment. Now we will divide into smaller groups to have to still discuss and to still talk about all of this. So I will give the microphone to my colleague Bukola.
Okay, so thank you, Gorana, for facilitating the Q&A and Mr. for the insightful presentation. Now we'll move into the breakout room, which Kathy will be creating, and you can self-assign yourself to any of the rooms. If you speak English, you can join room 1, 2, 3. While if you are a language speaker other than English, please kindly stay in the main room, as we'll have all language speakers in the main room, while for the room 1, 2, and 3 would be for the English speakers. So we'll do this quickly in 5 minutes before we now go into addressing the questions on the Jamboard 3, 4, 5, which also focus on some of the key areas that talks about Global Council, hubs, and funding. So Kathy would be creating the breakout room, while all language speakers other than English can remain in the main room. And if you are English speaker, you can self-assign yourself to any of the room 1, 2, 3, as we'll be addressing all questions in Jamboard 3, 4, 5. Thank you.
Thanks, Bukola. I think some people had a bit of difficulties hearing you, so I'll just repeat that very quickly. Everybody who requires interpretation into French, Spanish, or Portuguese, where I think we lost the Arabic, we're checking what happened. Please stay in the main room. So stay here. You don't have to go to any room. If you're an English speaker, you can also stay in the main room if you want to interact with people in French, Spanish, Portuguese, or Arabic speakers. The rest of you can go to any of the rooms that I'm opening now. You can go to whichever room you want. If you go to the More button on your phone or on your desktop, you'll be able to see the breakout rooms and join any of the rooms. If you have problems, you can't find where to join the rooms, let us know in the chat and we can assign you. So we'll give just a few minutes for people to start. I'm opening the rooms now, and I'll ask the facilitators to go to the rooms that correspond to them. So in the main room, Gorana and Karel, Cassie and Nu in room 1, Bukola and Merdad in room 2, and I will be going to room 3 with Aida. So we'll just give people a few minutes to join the rooms, and in the rooms we will explain what we're going to be doing.
Okay, so we will take like a minute or two to make sure that everyone is assigned to the right room. So this is the main room, and if you need interpretation or like translation, please stay in this room. If not, you can either assign to other rooms. So if you need interpretation, if you speak only French, for example, just stay in this room. Thank you.
Okay, so kindly assign me to a room, please.
Is everything okay here, Garana?
Yes, so we are starting. We were just waiting for everyone to assign to breakout rooms. Okay, so I'm sending you a link to the Jamboard. And I'm asking all of you to please go to slide number 3. So we will have 3 questions that we will be discussing today about. I will share my screen so you can also take a look at the question number 1. So the question number 1 is, the Global Council is meant to represent the Wikimedia movement. What does representation look like to you? For example, is it someone from your community, affiliate, project, or region being a member of the Global Council? Is it diverse membership of the Global Council, regardless or where the members are from? So this is a question that we would really like to know. What does representation mean to you? Carol, do you want to add something? We already have some answers, like representation should be from different community, and we have peculiar challenges in different communities. It cannot be a central system telling people what to do.
So yeah, as a framing, I would just say that you can focus on any aspect of a question, like what speaks to you. Just to, I understand that it's kind of different things in there, so just see what sticks out for you, and then respond to that part. Like that would be any additional guidance. That's the same for any of the Jamboards, but that's it. Looking forward to see the content.
So just take a minute to think about your response and what does it mean to you? What would be important for you to be represented well? Yes, Anne, please.
I'd be particularly interested in hearing from people who work mainly in project areas as opposed to affiliations, because that is where we sometimes are seeing some challenges, finding ways to make sure that projects are well represented in a lot of activities amongst groups who are not typically part of the affiliate structure. And I'll just point out that's a minimum of 80% of our active contributor community. So we're trying to figure out information about that. How can we do that? What are we looking for there from people who are active in projects? I'm complete.
Thank you very much. Okay, so is anyone here based only on the project that would like to share your thoughts? Maybe George, would you like to raise your voice again?
Tu peux repréciser la question, s'il te plaît?
Yes, of course. So can you please tell us what does the representation mean to you? Are you based in some affiliate? Are you based on a project? And what is your opinion about question number 1? If you would like to give us the answer.
Bon, en fait, concernant la représentativité, disons déjà que c'est une problématique assez complexe à définir, hein. C'est une problématique assez complexe à définir parce que la mise en œuvre, beaucoup plus dans la mise en œuvre, donc c'est difficile à mettre en œuvre. Mais l'idée, en fait, dans le travail qu'il est question de faire, c'est autant que possible de favoriser une sorte de représentativité de façon globale. Ça veut dire au niveau des affiliés, au niveau des projets, au niveau des organisations thématiques et autres. L'idée, c'est véritablement qu'on se retrouve dans une situation où toutes les composantes, à quelque niveau que ce soit, puissent avoir la possibilité de pouvoir donner leurs avis quand il faudra les donner, de pouvoir solliciter une aide quand il faudra solliciter une aide, ou de pouvoir soutenir les projets ou autres initiatives qui pourraient être mises sur pied. Mais la question, comme je l'ai dit au début, de la représentativité est assez complexe parce que dans la représentativité, il y a encore des détails. Si on se limite simplement à un contexte africain, il y a beaucoup de subdivisions qu'il faudra encore faire. On n'en est peut-être pas encore là, mais l'idée serait véritablement que les des grands ensembles puissent exister. Je vais prendre un exemple simple, hein, pour voir illustrer ce que je dis. Si on part du principe que le Conseil mondial va être mis sur pied demain, l'idée, en fait, serait qu'on se retrouve dans une situation où peut-être les grandes subdivisions retenues de façon globale dans le mouvement soient présentes. Ça veut dire que on peut dire l'Afrique, on peut dire l'Amérique du Nord, l'Amérique du Sud, on peut dire l'Europe centrale et autres. Donc, il y a véritablement une représentativité, au moins au niveau des grandes entités. Maintenant, si on va encore dans les redécoupages, ça sera poser une autre problématique en termes de est-ce qu'on prend en Afrique, il y a l'Afrique du Nord, il y a l'Afrique centrale, il y a l'Afrique de l'Est. Donc, il y a, à chaque moment, il y a une subdivision qui pose une autre problématique. Tout ça, en fait, c'est la représentativité. Mais maintenant, comment cela va être mis sur pied, ça, c'est un autre débat. Donc, voilà un peu comment je vois un peu la question de la représentativité, sans oublier les projets, sans oublier les groupes thématiques et autres. Voilà un peu ce que je peux dire sur la question de façon spontanée. Merci.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. It is very complex thing as we can hear. So, Karel, Anne, do you want to add something?
I'm watching the post-its being made, and there are a lot of really good and interesting points here. One of the things that we have been hearing as we are looking at the issues of inclusivity and diversity is that we have to be cautious not to expect somebody who falls into a particular category to be always representing that category. So, for example, if somebody is from the LGBT plus community, we should not always be relying on them to give us the LGBT plus perspective. And they should not, in the Global Council, where it is the movement that is the primary client as opposed to whatever group you have come from or whatever group has selected you. balancing the importance of looking at the big picture as opposed to a narrow perspective is really important. So we have to think about that. It is similar to a board of trustees where their job is to ensure that their organization is their primary primary motivator rather than whatever group, you know, for example, if for a chapter, if they were to, their board of trustees must be looking at the big picture for the chapter rather than, well, he's from this city and he's from that city and she's from the other city and they are only presenting the viewpoints of those cities. So we have to really be cautious when we are thinking about this. How do we make sure that we get lots of voices, but at the same time, those voices are focused on making sure that the movement works? I'm complete.
Thank you very much, Anne. Karel, do you want to add something? Or anyone else from the group?
I can add a quick technical note regarding how we have looked at this previously. So when we were putting together the Movement Charter Drafting Committee, we were also looking at different aspects of diversity and expertise we have in the movement. So I just shared the meta link in the chat, which you can browse. So I would just add that technical point. I'm complete.
Thank you very much. Okay, so to conclude this question number 1, it is sometimes very difficult to choose a representative, to choose someone who will represent our project, our affiliate, our region in the best way possible. But it is also very important to have someone to raise their voice in our name and to make sure that they will do it in a very good way. Okay, now if you have anything to add, just type into the chat box. If not, we can go to the question number 2, and that is, hubs are intended to be structures of mutual support to empower communities to have the capacity and resources to make and implement their own decisions to meet their differing needs. How can your community or affiliate be better supported? What does your community or affiliate need to be better contribute to the mission of free knowledge? So there is a lot of hubs today, and it is some kind of like a new thing in our movement, and we are still getting used to it. Some of them are doing really an amazing job. I'm from Wikimedia Serbia, and I know how much work, for example, CE Hub is doing in our CE region. But sometimes we all need to improve, and we all need to do some things. So can you please share what are the things that hubs can do better, or what are your needs that hub need to know to help you with? Maybe someone else want to share something. Maybe Anthony, do you want to raise your voice here to open your mic, or you can type in the chat or in the Jamboard?
If I may, I would like to answer one of the questions here. Is hub different for community? A hub would be a formally recognized organization within the movement. Communities are very flexible. Many of us belong to multiple communities, so they're overlapping and less formal. We are not expected to, for example, guarantee that we will provide support in a particular area. So in that sense, a hub is quite different.
Yes.
One
please.
would hope that
Yes,
hubs
sorry.
involve multiple communities. That's sort of its point. And I see George has his hand up as well.
Thank you, Anne. Yeah, please.
Bon, je voudrais en fait partager un peu l'expérience de ce qui peut être considéré comme un hub. Hein. C'est que ce n'est pas encore officiellement le cas. Wikifranca, puisque je suis membre du board. Ce qu'on fait actuellement et qui véritablement porte des fruits, c'est que on apporte du soutien aux petites communautés, et particulièrement les communautés d'Afrique francophone pour la plupart. Les soutiens, c'est d'ordre financier, par exemple dans l'organisation des édutatons, des événements et autres ateliers de contribution, de formation et autres. Ça, c'est vraiment une petite contribution parce que au sein de Wikifranca, on a une structure qui permet de pouvoir apporter un soutien financier aux petites communautés. Ça, c'est une chose. L'autre chose, c'est aussi un appui sur le plan de... Ça, c'est un aspect aussi des hubs qui pourrait inspirer les autres. C'est qu'on met en relation les entités entre elles. Ça voudrait dire que si une entité a une expérience reconnue dans un domaine précis, elle peut apporter son expérience, partager son expérience, apporter son soutien à une autre entité qui débute ou bien qui voudrait expérimenter quelque chose de nouveau. Là, on les met en contact. Ça, c'est aussi une autre chose. Une autre chose qui a été faite jusqu'à présent, c'est qu'on a facilité entre les différentes entités l'accompagnement sur le plan de la gouvernance. Comment est-ce qu'une nouvelle communauté naissante travaille à se structurer, travaille à organiser des activités, travaille à la rétention des membres et bien d'autres. Ça, c'est ce qui est fait actuellement dans le cadre de Wikifranca, qui pour moi est considéré ou pourrait être considéré comme un hub. Voilà les premiers éléments pour l'instant, même si on a beaucoup d'autres projets et initiatives qui pourront être mises sur pied. Merci.
Thank you very much. It was very significant thought you gave us and your example as well. Karel, and do you want to add something about financial supports that affiliate or smaller groups can get from a hub, or maybe to answer to some of the questions that we can see on the notes here?
From the financial perspective, one of the concepts that we've had about hubs has been that, especially for a linguistic group or a regional group, they could act as fundraisers, sort of to lead the fundraising efforts for their members. Because fundraising is a labor-intensive process, and many of our affiliates do not have the personnel, the time, or quite honestly, the money to invest in fundraising themselves. But when they come together as a group, there may be an opportunity for fundraising in that sense. We have many countries where the WMF does not fundraise or fundraises in a very limited way, simply because of local legislation and rules like that. And it may be possible to improve that by doing it regionally and so on, so that we can have a little bit more flexibility for the movement as a whole, to be able to reach out to more local donors who are willing or to provide in money or other funds, other resources in their own region. But the idea of donating to a global movement is a little bit outside of their wheelhouse. Grants is another very good example. Helping to find grants that match up with local groups helps an awful lot. And quite a few grants from outside of the movement can really be very useful, and have supported several of our existing chapters and affiliates in a major way. So that's one of the concepts that we have with hubs. I'm complete, and I pass to my colleagues.
Thank you very much, Carol. Do you want to add something?
No, that's already comprehensive. I would love to hear from other people on the call, but I'm conscious of time, so nothing from me for now. I'm complete.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now thank you for all of you who have participated and who have put the notes in the Jamboard. Now we can go to question number 3 and talk about how does your community or affiliate can access funding in the Wikimedia movement now. Should anything change with this model? Is there anything that you think would be really helpful for you? Is there anything that you can be supported with? So please give us your opinions, give us your thoughts, and please let us know about the challenges you are facing within your community, because I think every affiliate, every chapter, every user group is facing these kind of issues, especially when it is like a smaller affiliate at the beginning of doing their activities and just trying to get bigger and get involved in the big Wikimedia movement. It can be a little bit scary. It can be like, it can involve so many things that we are not sure what to do, how to apply for a grant, what are all the info that they are looking for. So what is the thing that you need help with? So maybe we can talk a little bit, maybe you can see the notes we have. There are 7 regional grant funds available to groups, example affiliates, individuals, and mission-aligned NGOs. Is there anyone who would like to add something? George, you were great today with sharing your experience. Do you want to add something about this? We were talking about funding support from hubs. So is there anything that you would like to change in like the funding process of your affiliate? No. Thank you.
Bon, disons que pour l'instant, sur un plan personnel, hein, ça c'est vraiment un plan personnel, j'apprécie les changements qui ont eu lieu depuis quelques années déjà, en ce sens qu'on a pu véritablement créer les pôles régionaux concernant la redistribution des fonds. Ça, c'est quelque chose de très positif parce que les procédures ont au moins ont été réduites à ce niveau-là. C'est la première chose. Peut-être on peut encore subdiviser. Ça, c'est possible. Ça a à voir. Cependant, il y a un problème qui est aussi souvent, qui ressort souvent concernant les jeunes communautés en Afrique particulièrement, c'est que la procédure est peut-être parfois difficile à mettre en œuvre parce qu'entre-temps, la procédure de collecte des fonds a encore changé et il est question de former, de sensibiliser et autres. Mais sur un plan pratique, concernant les jeunes communautés, il y a souvent le fait que plusieurs communautés n'ont pas de compte bancaire. Donc parfois, la procédure on peut bien soumettre, mais maintenant au niveau de la réception de l'argent, ça devient un peu complexe, ça devient difficile. C'est pour ça qu'on fait intervenir les sponsors sur le plan fiscal pour pouvoir prendre en charge cela. Est-ce que cela peut être résolu? Je ne sais pas si cela peut être résolu parce que ça dépend aussi un peu des réglementations des différents pays et autres. Maintenant, dans ça aussi, il y a une autre problématique qui personnellement m'intéresse, c'est que peut-être qu'il faudra réfléchir demain à une véritable gouvernance des petites communautés à ce niveau-là, au niveau de la structuration et au niveau de l'organisation véritable. Parce que les jeunes communautés, parfois, c'est 3-4 personnes au début et centralisées sur une seule personne qui véritablement coordonne tout. Si demain, on travaille véritablement à une véritable gouvernance au sein des jeunes communautés, cela permettrait de voir quelle est la structure idéale d'une jeune communauté de base qui prendrait en compte donc les éléments comme la trésorerie, avec tout ce qu'il faut comme critères pour pouvoir recevoir les fonds, qui est signataire sur les comptes. Ça, c'est des éléments en général qu'on n'a pas dans les petites communautés. Tout est centralisé sur une seule personne et parfois, il y a la problématique donc de l'envoi de fonds dans le compte bancaire d'une personne. Donc voilà les choses qu'il faudra voir. Mais ça, c'est un autre débat. Ça, c'est un autre débat qui n'est pas lié au sujet que nous abordons maintenant. Mais il faudra demain, puisqu'on parle de gouvernance de façon globale dans le mouvement, c'est des choses qu'on devra prendre en compte pour que ce soit au plus haut niveau ou au plus bas niveau, on puisse véritablement voir une gouvernance transparente et en mouvement, quoi. Voilà un peu ce que je voulais dire sur la question. Merci.
Thank you very much and welcome all back to the main room. I'm very happy that you are all able to hear a part of our discussion. We have raised some really important topics, so thank you very much for giving us your thoughts. I'm giving a mic back to Bukola.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining the breakout room. There were quite very interesting discussions around Global Council, around hubs, and even funding. And these rich discussions, I believe, would really help the MCDC team to think around what's next steps or what new suggestions they would incorporate into the movement charter. And that leads us to the next part where the MCDC or its support team can tell us about the next steps to engage in this discussion, because I know it doesn't end here. Thank you. So any of the MCDC team member who would like to tell us more about what next steps we can take to keep participating in this discussion, that would be great to hear from you. Thank you.
Sure, I'm happy to kick things off. I also realize we're at time. Thank you all so much. Thank you, organizers, MCDC members, for being here, and all the participants for giving us your time. This was just a start, and thank you for your interest. As mentioned earlier, conversations open, so please feel free to leave us your feedback, whether it's through email or whether it's through on the talk page on Meta. Please do so. As well, the first Thursday of every month, MCDC's meeting is open, so you're more than welcome to register to join us on Zoom or to watch it live stream on YouTube. We would love to have you there. Many of you have amazing experiences, whether on a global level or a local level, and your direct input to the drafting would be really, really appreciated. So please register if you would like to attend. And then the first drop-in session is next Thursday. Would love to have you there. And otherwise, there's also a diff post coming out doing a little summary, September update next week. Also a report from all the conversations that happened from July to September. Thank you all so much. It will be great to have you there. And I'll just share the registration link for Zoom. And if you need interpretation, please also let us know. Thank you so much. Anybody else? MCDC? Anyone?
I just want to note before people might head off, very important for us to get feedback. We want to improve every day. So just link to the Mentimeter very quickly, a few minutes. You'll give us some feedback that will be useful in any language that you want. And with that, I'll hand it over to, sorry, Jorge, I think was going to say something. Or
Yes,
somebody.
thank you. That's all.
Merci, gracias, shukran, obrigado.
So as you fill out the Mentimeter, this is the moment in Let's Connect we call the messy, fun moment where we appreciate everybody on the call and each other and the interpreters and the MCDC that are doing amazing work. They're really striving to make this the best possible charter, but they need your help, they need your support, your ideas. Remember, in the quiz, doesn't matter how new you are to the movement, like me, you can participate. So open your mic, say hello, say goodbye. This is the moment where we just have a bit of fun as we close the call. And you fill out the feedback form.
Gracias.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all.
Everyone.
Gracias.
Thank
Ciao,
you.
Madeleine.
Ciao,
Merci,
ciao.
Madeleine.
Bye.
Hafiz.
Thank you.
Merci,
Bye.
excellent travail à Yana et à tous les traducteurs et traductrices.
Oui,
Bonsoir
c'est
et au revoir.
maintenant. Oui, oui.
Bye bye.
Thank
Oui,
you
tout le
all
Merci.
for
monde.
joining,
Bye.
and see you in our subsequent learning clinics.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Gracias. Obrigada.
Thank you all.
Absolutely.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you. What color? You're in the dark.
Yeah, it's late already. And
And
there's